we're probably about a month away from a Labour government, so I want to highlight a couple of things that shadow ministers have said about their plans once in government. Um, First of all, back in January, Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor, said that she would unashamedly champion the UK's financial services sector and that she would not restore the cap on bankers' bonuses. And then last month, Tulip Siddiq, who is the Shadow City Minister, said that she wanted to streamline the burden on financial services and tear down barriers to competitiveness and growth. And this is really frightening, right? What this tells us is that a Labour government would reduce regulation of the financial services sector. First of all, this is what the last Labour government did under Tony Blair, and it led to a huge, monstrous crash which cost the country billions and billions and billions of pounds and pushed us into, all the austerity and all the sort of mess that we're in because they didn't close loopholes and they didn't stop people doing dodgy deals across the city. And now we've got a new Labour government looking like they're about to come to power saying exactly the same thing. The fact is that the financial services sector needs regulating. And I say that as somebody who worked in the city, right? From when I left college when I was 21 until I was 29, I worked for investment banks, investment funds, hedge funds. I worked right across the city, and I can tell you this for free. They are not trying to do the right thing. They are trying to do the most evil money-making thing that they can possibly do within the edge of the law and the regulatory system. They absolutely have employees working for these investment firms, for these investment banks, whose job is nothing other than to figure out exactly where the line is so that they can do everything up to that line, figuring out how to get away with not paying tax by counting this number in that column, figuring out how to get away with transferring money internationally by putting it through this route rather than that route, finding out what they do have to declare and what they can stick under the table. There are people in these companies whose job is to do that. We have to regulate these companies because otherwise we will push ourselves back into exactly the situation that we had before, where they pay themselves massive, huge bonuses while gutting companies, paying no consideration whatsoever to the rights of employees or consumers or anybody else. They encourage and take over companies and push them to do the worst possible thing, ripping everybody off on the way. And surely the very least we can ask of a Labour government is that they stop making things worse. And actually, they could take some steps to make things a lot better, like closing down the tax havens, having people whose job, like the city minister's job should be, is to close down these loopholes and make sure that actually the way that the financial services sector works is fair, not just, for themselves, but for everybody across the country, because we are all affected by how the financial services sector behaves. See you next week. Increasingly, the mainstream media is terrible at informing the public of what is really going on. I'm only able to make these videos because people are generous enough to sponsor me making them, and if you're able to be a part of that, I would hugely appreciate it. It can cost as little as $1 a month and you'll get loads of fun bonus content and lots of extras from me and my undying gratitude. I also massively appreciate it if you're able to like, share these videos and let people out there know what's going on.